This is the Jabberjaw Podcast Network. Visit jabberjawmedia.com for more shows like this one.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Chris from That One Time on Tour. I wanted to stop by and let you know about rockabilia.com. It is your one-stop shop for all of your band merch with the largest selection of officially licensed music merchandise in the entire world. They have sent me so much cool stuff. I got Misfits stuff, Iron Maiden stuff, Metallica stuff, Converge. I lean a little bit more towards the heavy side, but they have what you want too. If you like Taylor Swift, I'm sure they've got some Taylor Swift stuff. So head on over to rockabilia.com and at checkout, put in the promo code PCJabberjaw and you'll get 10% off. Check them out now, rockabilia.com.
Hey, this is Dewey Halpus, host of the Peer Pleasure Podcast, part of the Jabberjaw Media Podcast Network. The Peer Pleasure Podcast is an arts and culture podcast. Join me as I discuss life and content with your favorite performers, artists, and creatives. From Fall Out Boy to Slayer, there's something for everyone. Listen and subscribe at jabberjawmedia.com.
Episode number 59 of That One Time on Tour is brought to you by the band Corusco. Corusco is an aggressive, literate indie rock band from Dallas, Texas. They blend the spirit of post-hardcore with ambient guitars, thoughtful lyrics, and a message of hope. You can catch them all summer on tour and find all of the information at their website, coruscomusic.com. That's CORUSCO music.com. You can also check them out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Corusco Music. Now here it is, their new single, The World We Know.
I've grown tired of running through these alleyways and roads. Come so far, thought you could save me. We crashed through the windows just call it a bother angel. I know exactly what goes on.
Hello, this is Mark O'Connell from Taking Back Sunday, and you're listening to That One Time on Tour.
Run for the road, 'cause it's going on and on. We'll be driving through the darkest night until the break of dawn. We'll be heading for the cities, another show for us to play. To get back in the van, 'cause tomorrow we'll do it all again.
Hey everybody out there in podcast land, what's going on? This is Chris Swinney. I am your host, as always, for That One Time on Tour. Welcome to episode number 59. We took the week off last week. My wife was out of town, and I was basically playing single dad for the week, and it's really, really hard to try to finish a podcast when you're taking care of two toddlers. So thanks for the support and not being too upset that I missed a week. But we are back. I would like to thank you for checking out the last episode, number 58, with Tom from MXPX. We charted on Apple Podcasts, charted on Spotify. It was a great episode, and I appreciate all of you guys out there listening. But we're back with episode number 59. My guest today is Mark O'Connell, drummer extraordinaire for the awesome band Taking Back Sunday. I hadn't spoken with Mark since like Warped Tour 2003. It had been quite a long time, but we talked about all kinds of good stuff. We talked about what it's like, being a dad. We talked a lot about Metallica, which I never plan on that, but it always ends up happening. All touring and all kinds of crazy stuff, everything in between. We talked about everything, and you guys are really going to enjoy it. Before I get to my conversation with Mark, as always, I have to take care of a little bit of business. We have some good sponsors for this episode. Artist Flags. You guys need to go to artistflags.com if you need anything for your band or company. They make scrims and backdrops for the stage, or just, I'm sure they can make anything that you want to promote your company. So hit up Cody over at Artist Flags. Just go to artistflags.com or anywhere on social media at Artist Flags. We also have Permanence Tattoo Gallery back on the show as a sponsor. They're located on Meridian St in Anderson, Indiana, downtown Anderson. My buddy Jacob, who's been a guest on the show, is the owner and an amazing tattoo artist in his own right. And Permanence is the place to go if you're in central Indiana, or if you want to, travel to get some good work. Head on over to Permanence Tattoo Gallery. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere on social media at Permanence Tattoo Gallery. Tell them that Chris sent you, and maybe Jacob will hook you up. So, yeah, shout out to Jacob and all my dudes and girls. I was going to say dudettes. That sounds kind of dumb. Over at Permanence Tattoo Gallery. I hope to see you guys really soon because I need some more ink. I know that. Also, at the beginning of the show, Corusco, great band out of Dallas, Texas. They are buddies of the show, man. They have sponsored, I think this might be the 4th episode that they've sponsored, but they're doing excellent. They are on tour right now. I think last night they played in Portland, Oregon, and tonight they are in Seattle. So make sure to go to coruscomusic.com. That is CORUSCO music.com, and check them out. They are poised to blow up. They are a great band, and I cannot wait for them to get all the success that they deserve. They're one of the hardest working unsigned bands in the world. So go support Corusco. You will not be sorry if you do so. And yeah, that's what's going on here, man. We had a really bad storm last night, and we lost power for close to 14, 15 hours. And this was supposed to be up earlier today, but now it's coming out because we didn't have power. And as soon as the power came on, I was like, I need to go finish my podcast. So I ran back to my studio, and I am doing it for you guys right now. And I have a new segment that I'm going to do today. It might turn into its own kind of bonus episode at some point. But I have a new segment, and it's a radio segment. I'm going to start highlighting bands on the show that I had something to do with, or that I just really, really like. And yeah, I'm going to roll some theme music, and then we're going to get right into our segment. So here's the theme music.
Radio, radio, radio. Radio, radio, radio. When I've got the music, I've got the place to go. Radio, radio, radio. Radio, radio, radio. When I've got the music in me, I got a place to go.
On On this first installment of TOTOT Radio, I'm going to be highlighting a wonderful band by the name of Brazil. Yes, just like the country Brazil. I actually was the bass player in Brazil for a while. They're all really, really good friends of mine. They're from right here in Indiana. They were on Fearless Records. They put out some amazing songs, and I think they broke up way before their time. They're an underappreciated band, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy them. I wanted to do this because they are getting ready to have a reunion show at the Hi-Fi in Indianapolis on August 30th. Tickets are only $15 in advance or at the door, and you can get advance tickets at fanlink.to/BrazilTix, T-I-X. So if you guys don't know anything about Brazil, that's cool. You're going to find out right now, but I love this band. The songs mean a lot to me. I got to play a lot of them all over the country. We toured with all kinds of great bands like Emery, and we did the Warped Tour. And I think they're a very underappreciated band. And I hope that this show is not just a one-off reunion show. I kind of hope they keep going. But we're going to be doing an episode in the future to kind of talk to the guys in Brazil and figure out this reunion show. And I hope all of you guys in Indiana are going to go check it out. Like I said, $15 tickets on August 30th at the Hi-Fi in Indianapolis. Tickets are going really, really quickly. So if you want to go, you got to go figure it out right now. But I'm going to get right into a song of theirs I really, really, really like. I used to play this all the time with them on the road. It's called A Hostage. It is off of their debut full-length album on Fearless Records, A Hostage and the Meaning of Life. And like I said, if you guys have slept on Brazil, you got to figure it out. They're a great band, and I hope they're going to come back and make some more music because I was a fan before I was ever in the band, and now I'm more of a fan. And I have so many great tour stories, and I can't wait to I've already had Eric and Jonathan from Brazil on the show, but I can't wait to sit down and have some more reminiscing of the crazy shit we used to do on the road. But I'm going to get right into it. This is A Hostage by Brazil. I hope you guys enjoy it, and make sure to get your tickets for their reunion show August 30th at the Hi-Fi in Indianapolis.
Get
So yeah, that was Brazil with A Hostage. That is the first installment of the new segment, TOTOT Radio. We'll see what comes of it. I sit around and come up with new ideas to make the show a little bit cooler and have different content and whatnot. But make sure you're following us on all the social media platforms. It's at TOTOT Podcast. If you want to leave me some love or some hate, you can call the TOTOT hotline. That is 1-765-372-8818. Please review, rate, subscribe, everything wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps the show out. But I'm going to stop rambling. This has been a long intro. I'm going to get right into my conversation with Mr. Mark O'Connell from Taking Back Sunday. I had such a great time talking to Mark, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So without further ado, here it is, my conversation with Mark O'Connell from Taking Back Sunday.
Merch Table was founded by artists just like you. We've slept on floors, played for everyone and no one, broken up, gotten back together, and taken everything we learned along the way to build a group of people who put creativity first so you can play while we work. Visit merchtable.com to learn more about our merchandising and online store solutions.
And I'm on the line with Mr. Mark O'Connell from Taking Back Sunday. How are you today, Mark?
I am very well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad that we can make this happen. We've met way back in the day on Warped Tour, I'm pretty sure, but it's been a really long time. So
Would that be Warped Tour 2012?
No, that would be Warped Tour 2003.
Whoa! Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing, like, I remember meeting you guys. I'm not sure who exactly it was, but I watched some kind of Monster Metallica DVD on your bus.
Yeah. You know what? I'm the super Metallica fan in the group.
So it was probably you and I. I was trying to think because I had Eddie, formerly of your band, on the show last year, and I was telling him about that, and he didn't remember. And I'm like, I can't remember for the life of me what member of the band invited me on the bus to watch it because it's right after it came out,
Yeah. I love that documentary. Well, I mean, what I don't love about it is that, it's shocking because I think in my head, throughout the entire time, this is the same band that wrote and made the song Battery.
Yeah.
Which is just wild when they're playing the stuff that they're playing. They just can't put it together. And then it makes me think, maybe this is just, these guys just have way too much money and don't know how to act anymore.
I mean, I can see that. That's the thing. The same thing that you just said is what kind of drives me crazy. Like, even when you watch, I mean, I like the new record. I like Death Magnetic, but when you see them in the studio, writing the songs, because they put everything up online now, it's like, yeah. James, why don't you just sit there and write a badass riff like you used to do? Like, what happens when you get older and rich and you can't come up with that shit anymore?
I don't know. I got the new album. I had, listening to the new album. Hardwired. I think, you know what I mean? If you put Hardwired in the same recording as Injustice for All, the same recording as Ride the Lightning or Kill 'Em All, that's just, it's the same shit. It's there.
I think the production value does have a lot to do with it. I don't know if I'm a Metallica geek, so I go on YouTube all the time, and you can people have used, programs to make, what if the Black Album was recorded in 1983 and stuff like that.
Wow. No, I didn't know that. I mean, I am also a Metallica geek. But I do think man, it would be sick if Hardwired had the same exact guitar tone as Injustice for All. Why isn't he getting that old fucking the mid down, treble up, bass up, that old shit like that Pantera? You know what I mean?
A lot could be said for doing it all digitally. I mean, I love recording on tape, and I also love using Pro Tools, but I know that live now they're using a fractal system, so they don't even really have amps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, there's not 20 Marshall stacks on the stage or Mesa Boogies. They're using one of those fractals, which I'm sure you've seen those before. It's just basically like an amp modeler, and it just goes out through the PA.
I have seen it. I actually remember the first time I saw it, and I couldn't believe what I was like. I was like, how is this happening right now? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, everything is just direct now. But I mean, you change with the times, and they have such a huge. I mean, you guys are a bigger band, but when you see Metallica's set up for the stage and everything, I think it's all about streamlining,
Yeah. But you know what? That doesn't take away the fact that they could still get that same exact guitar tone that he used to have.
Yeah. I think maybe it's just, I don't know, modernizing with the times, you know, trying to match what other bands are doing. But when you listen to those tones on Justice, I mean, they're insane, man.
It's the shit. Like, you know, people always talk about how bad that album sounds, and I'm like, yo, not really. Like, this album sounds amazing. What are you talking about?
It was a conscious effort, man. I mean, I know there's not a lot of bass on there, but you put that up against anything else, and it has its own color. It has its own like feeling, you know?
Yeah, I know.
So this isn't a Metallica podcast, but I'm really cool. It's really cool that you love them.
I can keep on going. I'm enjoying this.
I'm sure that we'll come back to some Metallica, but the first thing I want to get out of the way, I always put promo stuff up on the Instagram, and your band's Instagram account actually just alerted me that you just had a birthday.
I did. I just turned 38.
38. Okay, you're 2 years younger than me, man. We're right there in the same ballpark.
Yeah, you know, I never had like, I don't care that I'm 38. Like, it's not a big thing, but this was the first age where I was like, holy shit, like, I'm halfway there. I'm almost halfway there, you know, whatever.
Yeah, because if you die around 80, which is kind of the life expectancy nowadays, like you and I are middle age, man. It's crazy.
I know. In my head, I'm still like 15, 16 years old. I'm killing it, you know, rock. But my body, you know,
my wife makes fun of me all the time because like I've turned 40 last October, and you know right now I'm wearing a Converge hoodie and a Wu-Tang Clan shirt. Like, like I don't know if I should be doing that, but I'm not going anywhere today. So,
like that's the thing. Like I still wear black hoodies and jeans and Converse. I'm like, yo, when my dad, I remember my dad at you know 38, 40, like he wore a suit to the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just what old people when you're young, like they just dressed like they were old, and I feel like that's kind of ending.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean, I think it's all generational. I mean, it's weird because if you think about, you know, your dad wore a suit to the office, my dad wore a suit to the office, and then on the weekends, like my dad would still wear like a polo shirt and shorts or whatever. So it's weird to think that now that we're becoming the dads that we're kind of just wearing. I haven't really changed what I wear since I was in junior high. It's kind of sad.
Right. Me neither. There's something to that. Like, yeah, I thought like, yeah, maybe I should, but you know what? So I have this thing for Gildan hoodies. I have a client, like instead of suits, I have Gildan pullover sweatshirts in all different colors.
Yeah.
And I bought some for my son. Like I bought a bunch of them for my son, and he didn't like wearing them. I was like, yo, man, why are you not wearing these? You look good. And he actually said, these are for old people.
See, the times have changed. It's the same. It's just different, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So we were talking about your birthday and your bandmates or whoever's running your Instagram wanted to know how your birthday tacos were.
Yeah. Did you see what I said?
I saw that you said they were really good, but I don't know if all my listeners aren't on Instagram, so you might want to fill them in.
I think the exact thing that I said was totes amazing.
Totes amazing. Yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So were they homemade tacos or did you go get them somewhere?
Well, I'm vegetarian. I've been vegetarian, you know, maybe since 2008, right? So what I do is I'll usually get, you know, Beyond Meat or Boca or, you know, whatever it is, you know, even sometimes Morningstar, but like, and then, you know, that's the meat I'll use. And then, man, I'm really pumped, like I throw a bunch of cumin in there, a bunch of garlic. And then like, I'll even throw like, you know, like Trader Joe's taco packet in there. And
yeah,
that's my favorite shit. Like on tour, like as soon as I got on tour, like the first day I called my wife, I was like, yo, I want tacos the first day I get home.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to, you know, on behalf of the podcast, myself and all the listeners, happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you said that, you know, before we started recording, you were doing sound check. So are you guys playing some more tonight?
You know what? Yeah, we're just out for the weekend. We played St. Pete last night, with that band, Blue October.
Okay.
I never met them, but man, very, very nice guys. And, tonight is with Blue October and Jimmy Eat World.
Oh, awesome, man. Yeah. That's a killer show, man.
Yeah, so it's just for the weekend, and then we have off until June, and then we go to the UK and Europe.
Were you already friends with the Jimmy Eat World guys? They're such nice guys.
They're very good guys. Yeah, very nice guys. We did one tour with them. Like we played a shitload of shows throughout the years, but we did one tour with them in like 2005 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, or 6, but yeah, very, very good guys.
Awesome. Well, hey man, I want to get right into this. I've got some stuff that I always ask my guests. You know, when you were younger, what made you want to get into music? And I mean, you know, specifically drumming.
You know, I always, as soon as I started listening, I loved music. I knew that right off the bat. But my aunt, I was over at my aunt's house one Christmas. You know, my whole family was there, blah blah blah, and she had a snare drum. My cousin played snare drum in like middle school or high school, and I asked her for it.
Wow.
And she gave it to me, and then that was it.
Just a single snare drum, not like a set, just a snare drum.
Right, just a single snare drum, and I never stopped since.
Did you learn like, you know, rudiments and stuff, like the stuff that you do when it's really like structured?
I started getting lessons around, you know, that was probably like 7 or 8. I got that snare drum, and then I got lessons around 10. And my first teacher, like, really stuck to playing to a metronome.
Okay.
And doing the rudiments and playing on a pad, and like that's how you get good. And I'm really, really happy that he did that, because he was right. He was right. That's how you play well and you know, precise, I feel like.
So on the notes that I took, Taking Back Sunday formed in 1999 in Amityville, New York. Did you grow up around Amityville, or were you more like Long Island, or is that all the kind of the same sort of thing?
Yeah, Amityville, there's 2 counties in Long Island, Nassau County and Suffolk County. Amityville is the first town in Suffolk County. It's a little bit more out east.
Okay.
But yeah, it's all Long Island. But yeah, I grew up in Rockville Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you were doing that, you started taking lessons, and, you know, you're learning how to play drums. Did you ever, like, you know, go down another avenue like guitar or bass, or was it all drums for you?
No, I play guitar.
Okay.
I play guitar. But you know, I only took lessons for maybe 2 or 3 years. What really I feel like made me a player was putting on my headphones and playing to, you know, the Beatles, you know, and like Guns N' Roses, like easy stuff to play.
Yeah.
And then moving up, like once my older brother got me into all the punk rock that I, you know, like he showed me, you know, Jawbreaker. As soon as I heard Unfun, like that, I would just go to my basement for hours and play to bands that I liked. So that's how I feel like I really became my own drummer.
Man, I was excited to talk to you today, because in preparation, I always kind of immerse myself in the band of my guests. So a little bit ago, my son and I were watching on demand on Comcast. All your videos are on there.
Oh, cool. Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was watching, I can't remember exactly which one it is, but you guys are all like talking to the same girl, and there's like a split screen of everybody. And and like with Eddie, there's a Clash poster and like all these different things. But with you, there's a Kid Dynamite poster. And I'm like, oh man, we're going to get along really well.
Yeah. I you know, I was actually looking at you. I saw a picture, you with Minor Threat shirt, and I was like, damn, I want that shirt.
Man, Rockabilia.com. They're one of the biggest sponsors of the podcast, man. They're amazing. I'm sure they'd probably send you one. Yeah. I'll hook you up with Frankie's info. He's the guy over at Rockabilia.
Awesome. All right.
Because they sent me one and my son one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was another band, Minor Threat, that as soon as I heard it, as soon as you hear something like that, you never hear anything like that before that. You know what I mean? Like,
and it kind of ruins everything else, because I always felt like when I got into punk rock, it was so much passion and energy. It almost like jumped out of the speakers, and you put that up against Bon Jovi or some bullshit like that, it just doesn't compare.
Right. Like you instantly, everybody else is a cornball.
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah.
So Minor Threat, I mean, what was there? I know growing up on the East Coast, like in that Long Island area, there were so many bands, before the whole Taking Back Sunday thing. Were you into the local scene, or when did that come about?
I don't know why. I just didn't put two and two together. Like I love VOD, like Vision of Disorder, and I knew that they were from right where we're from, and that blew my mind. But I also listened to Civ and Gorilla Biscuits, and I didn't find out that they were from New York until I was in my 20s, and I was like, what? So I didn't understand. I don't know. I guess I didn't really understand much before I turned 30.
Yeah,
but
I got you.
But yeah, I love VOD. And like I said, Gorilla Biscuits, Civ, and then also like New York hardcore, like Indecision.
Oh yeah,
they were a great band.
Great band.
So I did like going to hardcore shows, but I didn't know that there was like the whole thing, like, you know, people call it emo, so I'm just gonna fucking call it emo. But there was like this thing when I joined Taking Back Sunday. I was like, man, I didn't even know that this existed. You know, like Silent Majority and all those bands.
Well, and that's the thing that, you know, I remember talking to Eddie about it, because emo has kind of become this dirty word. But I mean, you guys kind of brought it to the masses. Like, I remember when I bought the first record, and I didn't really have any expectations at all. I would just, you know, I saw it and it was on sale. I think it was the first or second week it came out. And I always used to check out the Victory stuff. And when I popped it in the CD player, it was different. I mean, it was like, it was poppy enough to appeal to people, but it had this like heart to it. It had this different thing. And like, I think you guys, emo has become a bad word, but I don't think it has to be, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, first, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. And, but yeah, like it's become, you know why? Because at that time, like around the 2003, 2004, 2005, you had all these cornballs with shitty haircuts.
Yeah. The grandma haircut.
Right. The grandma haircut.
Yeah.
Or like the white girl thug haircut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally, man.
It's the same thing as, you know, I used to fuck with people that like work for us and say, I'm like, man, you guys must go to the same salon as my Aunt Sally because you look exactly like her.
It's I want to talk to your manager haircut, but it's on a dude that plays drums.
Yeah. So that's where I think it turned from, like, you know, like all the early 90s shit, like, I don't know, like Elliot and all the good stuff.
Dude, can we just say for a second how great of a band Elliot is?
Great band.
Or was, I guess. They were my intro into the whole emo thing. So like when I heard bands like Taking Back Sunday and got, you know, in the early 2000s that were kind of taking it a different direction, it still had that same soul, I think, that the Elliot stuff had.
Well, that's like straight up like Eddie was like a founder in the Long Island scene. So like he really, like, that's what he was into. He loved that shit. He loved like Quicksand and Sunny Day Real Estate and Elliot, and he loved Jimmy Eat World. Like he was rock. Like I remember like in the band, like him playing like Clarity just constantly on repeat.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I lost. What were we?
We were just kind of discussing how the whole emo thing became this almost like, to me, it was like people treated it like glam metal, but I don't think it needed that. It wasn't like that. It was this movement in music, and I think it deserves more respect. And when people say, "Oh, I don't want to say emo," like, dude, it's what it was, and it was great.
Yeah, that is 100%. And I think, like I said, it was that whole stigma of, you know, bitchy little kids with bad haircuts, you know, so that's where that came from. And it was kind of, I don't know, it's a little embarrassing, I guess, to like be put in that, like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But
well, I mean, there's such a resurgence too with all the emo night, like there's an emo night tour, there's all this crazy stuff. So I mean,
it's crazy.
It means a lot to so many people still.
There's a live emo night now. There's a band touring live emo night.
That's awesome, man.
It is, you know?
Well, I do want to talk about, so, you know, like I said, Taking Back Sunday formed in 1999 in Amityville, New York. When did you join? I know you weren't the original drummer.
Well, I did join in 99. There was one dude before me.
Okay.
And he was in the band maybe like, I don't know, like 3-4 months, something like that. And then he left for another band. I don't know what band it was, but that's when I got invited, you know, to try out, and I did. And that was 99. Was
it like an actual audition process, or was it just jamming? Like what was the vibe like when it was going down?
Well, it was just Eddie. Eddie was there and John was there.
Okay.
So there's no bass player. That was one thing that I was weirded out by, how there's no bass player there. I was like, huh.
Yeah, who do you lock in with, really, I guess?
Right, yeah. I was like, I wonder what's going on. Why there's just no bass player? But it was kind of like, I heard they had made a demo and I listened to it, and and there was I saw, like, I was like, oh man, there could be something to this. So yeah, it was an audition. Like, I knew Eddie because Sean, our bass player, lived across the street from the drummer of the Movie Life.
Okay.
So, like, we would be out front of Sean's house all the time. Like, that's where our hangout spot was, and Movie Life would have practice all the time. And it was funny because Eddie was kind of like would like yell things at us, and I didn't know him, and I was like, man, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But
do you remember any of the things he would yell at you?
Yeah, you know what? Because we used to drink a lot and smoke a lot of weed, so he would yell like, "Fucking losers." But,
well, yeah, I mean, that sounds like Eddie.
yes, it is 100%. That is Eddie, and I didn't realize who he was at that time.
Yeah,
and like that's that was kind of like his charm. But yeah, and then when I showed up to the tryout, I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Because a friend of mine worked with our old singer at this Mexican restaurant in Long Island named Don Juan. So I had no idea that it was that dude that was in my, the Movie Life.
Yeah.
So that's how that ended up.
I'm glad it worked out, right?
Me too.
So that demo that you were talking about, 5-track demo, was that or actually in 2001, the 5-track demo that you guys had out, is that what attracted Victory?
No. Oh wait. Well.
You said they had a demo in '99 when you joined, and then
right. Well, with that demo, that we had a singer. We had a different singer at that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So then when that singer left, that's when Adam and John started singing. So then we made a demo quickly after that, and that's what Victory heard.
Okay. Was it a lot of the same like demo versions of songs that ended up on the debut? Yeah.
I think 4 out of the 5 ended up on the debut album. Dude, you're in the Taris. Like, I mean, when you guys were doing this thing, like just at the peak, did it really sink in?
Well, I tell you, I joined kind of right after the peak. I was friends with Chris, the singer, and when they needed a guitarist, I got in there. So I mean, I got to ride a little bit of that wave. But yeah, I mean, just knowing the guys in the Ataris and knowing Chris for a really long time. I mean, I'm not sure if it really sunk in. It's one of those right place, right time kind of things. I mean, you put in the work, of course, you have to work hard, but sometimes it just happens. And yeah, I think I knew it took him a while for it to kind of sink in that they had gotten to where they had gotten to,
Yeah. Where are you from, California?
No, I'm from Indiana. That's actually where the singer Chris Rowe is actually from. I grew up in the next town over.
Are you from are you from around where like Axl Rose is from, by any chance?
Yeah, he actually grew up about an hour and 20 minutes north of where I live. And I've spent other time, like I live down on the coast. I'm back in Indiana now because I have some children and it's a nice, quiet place to live. Yeah. But yeah, I've Axl Rose, that was something funny growing up. I mean, I love the tangents on this podcast, but my mom used to tell my sister and I that she dated Axl Rose right before she met my dad.
Is that true?
No, it's totally not true.
Oh.
But I will tell you this, though, if you want to hear a cool story. Jake, the old drummer from the Ataris that was in the Ataris during my kind of tenure with the band, he's from Elwood, Indiana, which is a couple towns over. And his father used to work at this factory, and he worked with Shannon Hoon from Blind Melon. And
no way.
Yeah, they were friends. And one day Shannon came in and said, "Hey man, I won't be here next week. I'm flying out to LA to record with Guns N' Roses."
That's crazy.
And then he never came back.
Right, yeah.
Because he recorded like backups on Don't Cry or whatever, and then he just stayed out there. But yeah, so it's kind of a weird little state. There's a lot of actual famous people. I mean, you could go up to Gary and see like where the Jacksons lived, and like it's pretty insane, man. It's a little podunk state, but there's a lot here.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I like it there. It's nice, you know.
Yeah, because I know you guys have been in Indianapolis quite a bit.
We have,
as far as touring goes and whatnot.
You know, and my wife is she's Indian Muslim, right? Okay. And where does John Mellencamp live? There's that like college town. It's
Bloomington, Indiana. It's where Indiana University's at. It's about 2.5 hours south of where I'm at. I'm an hour north of Indianapolis, and then it's another like hour south.
But you know, so they're an Indian fan. Like her cousins live there, and they love it. They absolutely love it there. I don't know.
Bloomington's an amazing town, man. I mean, with the college right there, it's one of the hipper cities in Indiana. It's a little more liberal, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Indiana. I've not really talked about Indiana on this podcast at all. This is kind of cool, man. Thanks. Because I'm always talking to like people on the coast or from other countries and like, where do you live? And I'm like, Indiana. I'm like, oh, okay. It's cool that you know a little bit about it, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with Tell All Your Friends, jumping back into this, when it came out, I don't remember a lot of promotion, but I remember Victory. It seemed like they'd always have like 8 or 9 new signings, and then the things would just come out. And from what I read in my research, the first week it only sold 2,000 units, but then it just exploded. Like, do you know, like, was there a rhyme or reason for it? Was it promotion, or was it just like, you know, lightning striking?
Out of nowhere, like literally nowhere, kids were just coming out. I don't know how it happened. Like eventually we did end up, like, remember when those MTV2 spots?
Yeah.
Like like MTV2 was great for that. But before that, there was just something, you know, happening, and it was kind of like that thing. Like we look at each other, like, what the fuck?
Where the shows were just getting bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah. Like every day, it was a different. We would notice that was getting bigger. So I don't know. How do you explain that? You know, like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I've talked a lot to Chris from the Ataris, and there was a time where we kind of got sick of playing Boys of Summer, and I've had so many conversations with him, and it's like, you know, that album that got really big and kind of did it for the band was a great record, great songs on there. Chris did an amazing job writing the songs, but you know, that Boys of Summer cover was kind of an afterthought, like an extra day in the studio, let's fuck around. And
that's crazy.
It's like if that wouldn't have happened, I mean, the band was already at a level where they were in a bus, they were headlining Warped Tour, but that single kind of broke the band to the mainstream audience. And that one day doesn't happen, or they decide to record a different Don Henley song or whatever, like the band's career is completely different, you know?
Yeah. Well, also that song, In This Diary, that was on that album, right?
Yeah.
That was a big hit.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, like that the success of Boys of Summer I think helped the other singles to get, and the singles, they were worthy of being, you know, on the Billboard or whatever. It was just with that cover opened up the doors for a lot of new fans to come in.
And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you why, because that's a really good cover. Like, I enjoy listening to that song still now. Like, it's a good cover, you know. That's why it was as big as it was. But I bet you people were not happy when you were not playing it live.
They were. Yeah, it was funny. I remember we were in like State College, Pennsylvania, or somewhere. This is back 10 years ago, and Chris was like, "I don't think we're going to play Boys of Summer tonight." And I'm like, "Dude, there's going to be a riot if we don't play it."
Yeah. So
we ended up playing it, but I always used the thing that Chris changed lyrically in that song. Instead of saying Deadhead sticker, he says Black Flag sticker. So the first time that I met Henry Rollins, I used that as my entrance into kind of not just being a fan and actually kind of get to know him. And he talked to me for like a good half hour, 45 minutes. He's a really nice guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've heard only really good things about Henry Rollins.
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Trying to get him on the show, but he's turned me down like 3 times. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Keep trying.
Keep trying.
That would be a good episode.
So that album, Tell All Your Friends, like we said, it just went crazy. You guys ended up touring with all kinds of bands, Brand New, Rufio, The Used, Blood Brothers, everything. You finally get up to a headlining tour, and after the headlining tour, two members of the band decide to leave, John and Sean. Was it just, I mean, now it's kind of almost like folklore because people that love your band, they know all about it, but was it just inner turmoil with different members? Was it just too much, the rise of the band? What was it?
It was inner turmoil. It was everything. Like, to John, you know what I mean? Like, it was we were a mess. Like, the amount of drinking that was happening was just fucking insane. Like, it turned into a complete shit show. That being said, when John and Sean left, I was devastated. You know what I mean? Like, I could not accept it. And even when Fred and Matt joined and took their places, like, I wanted them to be John and Sean so badly, because, like, you know, to me, it kind of turned into this. It was like, now, instead of being like the same people that played in my parents' basement and at the tiny little shithole studio in Long Island, we were this band with these people.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it.
Keep the machine going. It's not that same feeling of the guys that started and got signed. Because, I mean, that's what people don't understand. Like even, you know, we'll go back to Metallica since we both love them so much. You can have any bass player you want in that band, and I'm telling you, I love Jason Newsted, I love Rob, like, it's great, but you're never going to have those guys again, like, that were on Kill 'Em All, or even like back to Ron McGovney, their first bass player. Like, when you've got that connection with those guys and you were in the trenches doing it, and then later on you have to get some new pieces in, it does change the dynamic quite a bit.
100%. I actually saw an interview with James Hetfield fairly recently of him talking about, like, all the bass players in the band and, like, kind of putting like a label on each one. Like Jason was the most dependable, Rob is the most talented. And then he was like, oh my God, I just drew a blank. The bass player.
Cliff
was the best bass player that Metallica did and will ever have.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, the heartbreak in his eyes when he said it.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of sad.
So, I mean, that's also having Fred come in first. John was such an integral part of the songwriting. How did that affect the songwriting in the band?
For me, it affected it in a very negative way, because John and Fred are two very, very different people.
Yeah.
And John is a dude that I take my guitar parts to, and I take all my parts to. Like, so when there's music that I make, like, I'll take it to John, show him first. With Fred, that just was not a possibility. He would not hear it. He would not be what John was. So for me, it was it made it really difficult to write music. But as with John and Sean, it's easy. Really easy to just come up with a song.
Well, I mean, you guys wrote some really, really good stuff, because, after that, you guys put out Where You Want to Be, which was your second album on Victory. That debuted at number 3. It went gold. I mean, it's probably platinum by now. So it seems like it was still working, but was it still like you guys were having a lot of interband issues?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was working. We made it work. It was just, like I said, for me, it was just not as much fun and much harder to deal with.
So with that second record, it came out and it's just, it's blowing up like crazy, even more than the other one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you guys were on Jimmy Kimmel. You guys were on the Spider-Man 2 soundtrack with the Ataris and a bunch of other bands.
Yeah.
When you guys were signing to Warner in 2005, what was that courtship like? And did you have any negative, like, fan reactions, or were you guys worried about making that jump?
There was a little bit, like, we heard, the whole thing, sell out, blah, 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 but it wasn't that bad. And we knew that we were going from a label, an indie label that's supposed to keep it, you're supposed to keep it real, whatever the fuck it is, to Warner, like we were getting robbed. We were getting fucking jacked by that dude. And then we signed to Warner Brothers, and it was a fair contract. You know what I mean? So I didn't give a fuck.
Was it for more than, like, how many records was it for, if you don't mind me asking?
I can't remember. Maybe it was, tell you the truth.
Was your contract with Victory over, or did you guys have to get out of that contract through, like, legal
We got
issues?
bought out.
Oh, you got bought out.
We got bought out by Warner Brothers.
And so Victory has since released like a best of and everything. Did you guys have anything to do with that, or is that just something they do?
No, they just did that. Like the best of the two albums.
Yeah, the best of the two albums.
Yeah, like it was just a thing one day. We were like, what the fuck?
Because I remember
this dude.
I remember seeing that because, like, I'm down with the guys in Thursday and some of the guys in Atreyu, and I'd always see like the bands that left Victory a few years later, it would be like a best of Atreyu. I'm like, how do you even do that?
I don't know. You know what? The dude's a marketing genius. You
Oh,
know what I
definitely.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
Well, I mean, where you want to be, that the album that came out second on Victory, I was reading all kinds of interviews and like articles in preparation for this talk. Like they had like the street team and like they did all this like guerrilla marketing that wasn't, they didn't pay for like, the radio stuff. They just, and I mean, it worked.
it worked, man. I mean, if you listen to like Master P talk about how he got No Limit started, it's like kind of similar. Like it's the same, that hustle, like get out on the street and hustle your CDs. Like he did that shit, which is, you got to give him credit where credit due. It's pretty good. You know what I mean?
I was when I had Tucker on the show, we were talking about how they showed up one time and they had Thursday whoopee cushions to promote the
That's
record.
Fucking awesome.
And they were like, man, we're not into this. And they're like, no, these are promotional whoopee cushions. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know if I'd sign off on that or not.
No, and I knowing the dudes in Thursday, there's no way that they were happy about that.
Yeah, totally.
That's actually really funny to think about their reaction when they first heard.
Yeah, well, if you get bored sometime, go back his episodes at the beginning when I started doing this.
Who'd you do it with? You did it with Tucker?
Yeah, I did it with Tucker.
Great guy.
Yeah,
we were just on tour with Frank Iero.
Yeah, I've been seeing all his stuff on Facebook. I didn't even realize he was playing drums with Frank. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I found out like a week before the tour, and it's always a pleasure, man. He's such a good dude.
Well, yeah, and I was so happy for him because he got to do like that week-long stint on Seth Meyers' show for a while.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go back to you. Enough Tucker talk.
All right. Yeah.
So 2006, man, Louder Now. It went gold. It peaked at number 2. It's got to be platinum by now, or at least close, right?
It's still at 900. It's been at 900,000 for years. Like, so I don't know when it's going to, hopefully it'll happen soon.
You're going to get your plaque at some point, man.
At some point, I'm waiting, man. I can't wait for it.
You've got the gold plaques, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's good. I mean, but yeah, I guarantee here in the next couple of years, you'll be getting probably 3 platinum plaques, I would think.
I think so. I hope so.
And man, it just sucks that music doesn't really sell anymore, right?
I know. It's a problem.
Those numbers are insane when you look at it now, and you think like Taylor Swift's album comes out and it sells like, 80,000 the first week. Like that would have been like 2 million back in the day.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's what are you going to do? Like when people complain about it, it's just like, yo, man, it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
It's done.
Everything's streaming now, and it's hard to get money out of those motherfuckers, man.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm hoping in like 10 years, like it'll be completely figured out.
Yeah. So Louder Now, that's got that had Fred on there as being one of the main songwriters. And was that a good experience, that whole thing, like your first release on the major? How was Warner Brothers, and how was like the actual process of putting that record together?
It was, it was kind of a blur, because we were in LA, and we were recording with Eric Valentine, which is amazing. Like I was really excited that we were doing the album with him, and but man, it was also overall it was a really good experience. I was definitely dabbling with drinking and other stuff. So my brain like kind of shut off for a lot of that time.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it was great. I mean, we're working with in my opinion, one of the best producers ever for rock music.
Yeah.
So it was sick. It was, that part was sick.
Well, I got to say the production on that record is amazing. It sounds so good, man.
It is, man. Like I love the way that album sounds and the way the drum, like the way, he's a drummer. So like he just blasts fucking drums in his mixes and it's awesome.
Yeah. I've worked with a lot of producers and it's always nice when the producer is, the same instrument that you play.
It's the best. I love it because they get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. They know what you want.
So with After Louder Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. The last time that I actually saw you guys play was when we played together with you guys at Bamboozle in 2009. And, I just remember that being a really, really fun festival. Do you remember anything about that fest?
Bamboozle 2009. Yeah. I remember Face to Face played.
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm a big fan of theirs, so I was pretty pumped. I brought Trevor Keith a 6-pack of beer and had one with him, and I was, I was so pumped. Like that was like my band. Like it still is. Like last time we went out to a bar and I put Face to Face on the jukebox. I love that.
Were there a lot of other guys in Taking Back Sunday that kind of had that punk going like you do? Like I can tell that you're really into punk rock.
Yeah.
Is everybody pretty eclectic and like you're the punk guy,
Well, Sean, our bass player, him as well. Like Sean and I grew up together. Like I actually grew up in Baldwin with for the first half of my life. But Sean, loves all the same shit that you would love.
That's cool. I'll have to have him on the show, man.
Yeah. Good guy.
So, 2010, John and Sean come back. So it's a nice segue into that. What led to them wanting to come back? I know that just from, reading comments and whatnot on the internet, if you're a Taking Back Sunday fan, I know that Adam and John had some issues and there were probably issues with other people in the band. So when they decided to come back after a fairly successful run with Stray Light Run, their band that they did,
mm-hmm.
I mean, and I know John does solo stuff. What did it take to get them back? Like when did you know that it was going to happen?
Well, I'll tell you, so throughout the entire time that John and Sean were not in the band, I still hung out with them and talked to them and whatever. They were still my friends. So, but Taking Back Sunday, like Fred had quit. So then we got another member, the dude Fozzie.
Yeah. He was from a band called Facing New York. We actually played some shows with him. Yeah.
That's right. Yes. So, but it was just, it wasn't there anymore. Like there was nothing there. It was not fun. It was not fun writing music. It was not fun touring. I didn't like being around him or anybody in the band. So it just got I was so unhappy that I called our manager and I called Adam at 2 different times, and I was like, listen, this is what I want. I want John and Sean back in the band. If we can't make that, see if that's an option, I'm done. I can't do this anymore because it's just horrible.
So you kind of spearheaded the whole thing.
I did. It just had to happen.
Yeah.
There was just no way that the band was going to keep going the way it was. It was about to just crap out at any moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So once I said that, I was kind of scared that, Adam and Eddie were going to be like, all right, well, go fuck yourself,
Because that totally could have happened, right?
Yeah, it was. I was really hoping that it wasn't going to happen, but I knew that it was a big possibility.
Yeah.
But man, when I got okay, see what they say, I was so excited. So that night I called John. I was like, yo, just hear me out. I'm just going to talk for a couple minutes. Just hear me out. And I was telling him why he should come back in the band and why it would be great and we could make great music and this and that and the band could be successful and we could have fun, blah, blah, blah. And after, probably 20 minutes of me ranting, he finally goes, all right, yeah, let's give it a shot. And
the thing, I just remember when you guys announced it and the internet exploded.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can imagine being like a fly on the wall when John's like, all right, cool, let's do this. Like, did you guys know how crazy it was going to get with like, you know, your loyal fans when the other guys came back?
We did. You know, we had this feeling because, like, you know, Adam and John hadn't seen each other, hadn't talked. And if they hadn't talked about each other, it was really bad.
Yeah. I remember reading all kinds of stuff back in the day, like when they'd do interviews and they'd talk shit about each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's what happened. And, you know, when we met up to go write music for the first time, it was literally like the same exact thing as it was before. Us in a room, just, you know, bouncing ideas over each other. Like nothing had changed. So we knew it was gonna work.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well,
Yeah.
I've got a question. I've always thought this is really cool. And this is while Fozzy was in the band before all this happened. You guys were on Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yes.
My kids love that. I know it's not being produced anymore, but on YouTube, there's just, you know, episode after episode. And I've got to say that my son, who is 3 years old, his favorite episode is your episode where you guys do the song about pets.
That's awesome. That's, kids like that, man. Kids, I've heard that a whole lot actually. So, but thank you for saying that.
What was that like? I mean, like, did they contact you through management and they wanted you guys to be on there? Did you guys have to record that song at their studio? Like, how did all that go?
Tell you the truth, I don't really know how it all happened. I just remember hearing, "Hey, we're going to be on Yo Gabba Gabba." And I was like, cool. And then thinking like, all right, well, do we have to write a song? And then being like, nope, they want you to record a song that they wrote. So that's actually the only song that we've ever recorded. Well, that's not true. We did a Smashing Pumpkins cover, but other than that, that we haven't written.
Okay. So see, because I was always wondering with that, if like, since those guys record so much music for the show, if they just, because there's been a lot of other bands on there, if they just record everything and then they just have the singer of the band sing over it.
No, no, we did go. We went to a studio in Queens, in New York, and recorded with our friend General George.
Okay.
And no, we recorded it.
I might have to find that online and play that as one of the tracks after our interview.
Yeah. Actually, I think I might do the same thing because I haven't heard it in a really long time.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, we're getting pretty low on time. I mean, we've just scratched the surface. Maybe in the future, when you're not busy, we'll have you back for a part 2. But I do have some listener questions I'd like to get to.
Okay.
So, Joey from Miami wants to know what your favorite Taking Back Sunday album is that you have made.
You know,
that's a hard question, right?
It is a hard question, like, because you always want to say, like, as a guy, like, the last album we made was the best one.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, I have my favorite songs off each album, but I don't know. I guess Tell Your Friends is definitely the most special because that's where it all began.
It started it all off. Yeah. Without that record, who knows what would happen, right?
Right. So yeah, that album definitely holds, you know, what's the saying?
Special place in your heart.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay, so Joey, thank you for your question. Next up, we've got Kelly from Virginia. She wants to know how you guys got Flavor Flav to be in the video for Your So last summer.
Well, I'll tell you, Flavor Flav at that time, I you know, hanging out with my friends, coming home from tour, you know, we'd always be in shady areas in Baldwin. And, but you know, Public Enemy is from a town called Roosevelt, which is right next to Baldwin.
Yeah.
But so there was like a time period where I was seeing the dude everywhere on his bike. So when it came time, like we were talking about starting, like we were talking about doing the video for So Last Summer, and the director was like, all right, well, do you guys have any ideas? So Adam, myself, and him went out to TGI Fridays, and the day before I saw him on the bike, I was like, we should just get Flavor Flav, you know. And I said it like kind of as a joke, and the dude was like, yes, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to see what we could do about that, and that's how that happened. So
did you like go through his people, or did you just see him somewhere on the street and ask him?
I didn't know. No, like I think we went through his people,
like the
correct
was. Channels, however you do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a cool video. I remember when I saw that. I think I saw it on MTV too, like in the morning somewhere. I was on tour or something. I'm like, oh wow, why is Flavor Flav in this video?
Yeah, it was so. When it happened, it was funny. He showed up. You know, he had all of his kids with him. He had lots of kids, man, and he kept on saying, going, "What band is this? Wait, what band? Who is this?"
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So hey, I just have a question. This is called That One Time on Tour. Any crazy or insane tour thing that you can share with us?
Actually, I mean, the first thing that came to mind was just recently in Salt Lake City. There was like a section for handicapped people.
Okay.
And this girl, out of nowhere, started pummeling a couple that were both in wheelchairs.
Like hitting them?
Hitting them.
Okay.
Ferociously. Like a fucking rabid animal.
Is this during you guys playing?
While we're playing.
Wow.
And literally Adam's like, oh, hold on, stop, everybody stop. And this girl is just, it was insane. Like literally seeing this, like, you know, when, like in the old cartoons when like, the people are rumbling, you know, like you get into it, and it's just like dust and shit flying everywhere. Yeah. I swear to God, that's what it looked like to me. And, and it turns out like this girl, when she got kicked out, like, so the bouncers came and like threw her over the barricade. And then apparently when she got outside, like she started fighting everybody that worked there too. But
was there ever any explanation of why she was fucking crazy?
I don't know. Like I was like, man, this girl had to be on like meth or something. Like,
yeah.
Like the way that she was hitting, I was like, that is not a girl. That is just a sober human being hanging out watching a show. It was fucking crazy. So that's something.
Do you feel like I have this conversation with a lot of people now because I'm sure you guys are on a bus. It's a little bit different than the touring was back in the day. Do you feel like it's less kind of random? You know what I mean? Like back in the day when you were in the van, you never knew what was going to happen. And nowadays, you know, you're on a bus, you're playing, the venues are all kind of the same. Do you ever, you ever feel like it's Groundhog Day a little bit?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'm just sitting here on the bus right now and like, it's just, that's how it is.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, I guess at our age, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be, I don't know, doing the shit that I did when I was in my 20s. But,
yeah,
it is kind of like Groundhog Day without a doubt.
Well, that's cool. And I mean, you said before you're married, you've got kids. Does it?
Yeah, I've one kid, and I'm actually, my wife is due in July, so
wow.
I'm gonna have a girl.
I have a little boy and a little girl, and it's great to have the combo.
I bet. That's what I've heard. I'm really excited.
Is it hard for you to go on the road?
It is. It feels like, I feel like it gets harder every time. Yeah. But you know, sometimes like you just got to say like, you know, this is your job. You know, suck it up.
That's what you do. It's your job. And I mean, yeah, I feel the same way. The reason I started doing this podcast is because I don't really tour much anymore. And I missed kind of being a part of the scene, and it's let me back into friends' lives and you know, new friends. Like you and I met like a long ass time ago, but now we're friends, man. Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, I listened, you know, knowing that I was going to talk to you, I listened to you, and you give a good interview. It's nice to talk to somebody that knows what the fuck you're talking about, you know?
I take a lot, like I've got like 3 pages of notes for this interview, but I've only used like 5 questions really. I like to over prepare, but I also like tangents. Like I don't have to use everything on my notes or anything. I just like having conversations. And that's where I think maybe this is a little bit different than most interviews, because I just want to get to know the person and kind of how everybody's life went, how their rise to fame, their fall, like whatever. Like I'm just interested in people's stories.
So are you saying that you didn't write down on a piece of paper, talk about Metallica for 20 minutes in the beginning of the interview?
No, that just always happens. And the more episodes that you listen to of my podcast, you'll find out that it always happens.
Yeah, man. That's really funny.
We're just gonna
best band ever.
We're gonna have to geek out on Metallica. We'll just have an episode where you come back and we just talk about Metallica.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Well, so you guys released last year 20 is what it's called. So the 20-year anniversary. It's kind of like a best of, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is without calling it. I seriously wanted to call it songs that people seem to like the most.
I like that.
Because, you know what I mean? Because, they're not really hits, but, when we play them live, these are the songs that they go the craziest to.
Well, that's cool, man. And I bet it's got a lot more hits on it than the Victory best of had.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
So, what does the future look like? I know you said you're getting ready to go to the UK. Like, what can we expect from Taking Back Sunday in the next year or two to come?
So, we're going to UK. After that, we're playing like weekend festivals, but then we're doing a fall tour, October and November, with Red City Radio.
Oh, great band! Great band.
Yeah, great band. Good people. I'm very excited about that. So we have that going on, and then I don't know. After that, probably take a little bit of a break, and then do the normal things. Start getting together and writing.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
What are your socials for you and the band, so people can check you out and they can see pictures of your tacos and stuff?
Well, I am at Mark O'Connell TBS on Instagram.
Okay.
And then I think Taking Back Sunday is just.
I think it's Taking Back Sunday. Yeah. I think that's what it is. You guys do most of your posting and stuff there. Do you have like a website that you guys utilize?
I think, I get everything from Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I stopped using Twitter and Facebook really. And I don't know, Instagram's kind of my thing, but yeah, that's where I get, if I need to know where we're playing when, I'll go to our Instagram.
Cool. Well, hey man, I've had such a great time having you on the show today. I just want to say thank you. And, I hope everything goes well tonight at the show, and I'd love to have you back in the future. We can dig a little bit more deeper, maybe even when the new record's coming out.
All right. Absolutely. Yo, I feel the same way. Thank you. Great conversation. And thanks for having me on.
Tell all the dudes that I said hi, even though they won't remember me.
I will.
I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you very much, Mark.
All right, bro.
Bye.
Later.
So there it was, my conversation with Mr. Mark O'Connell from Taking Back Sunday. I had a blast talking to Mark, and hopefully we'll have him back on the show when Taking Back Sunday have a new record out or a new tour or whatever. It's an excuse for me to talk to cool people. And it had been so long, like we don't even remember if we actually met back then, but somebody from that band took me on their bus and showed me Some Kind of Monster, the Metallica documentary back in 2003 on Warped Tour. And by talking to Mark about Metallica, it was probably him. So thank you guys so much for checking out this week's episode. Make sure to check out my sponsors, Artist Flags, Permanence Tattoo Gallery, and of course the band at the beginning of the show, Corusco, and Brazil, the new segment. If you guys didn't like the new segment, let me know. If the intro is too long, let me know. I'm trying some new things, trying to make the show a little bit different, having more content. But yeah, Brazil's an amazing band. Their reunion show is August 30th at the Hi-Fi in Indianapolis, Indiana. So make sure to check that out there on Instagram and Facebook and everything. And that's it for this week. So thank you so much for the support. As always, head over to any of the social medias. Check us out, TOTOT Podcast. It's at TOTOT Podcast. Sorry, I'm a little tired. But also, I just want you guys to know that we have awesome guests coming up. Everything got a little crazy for a while. I was doing like 2 or 3 interviews a week, and I had to slow down. But yeah, we got some good ones coming up, man. We're going to have Travis from Coheed and Cambria on the program next week. I hope you guys are going to enjoy that. I had so much fun talking to Travis. He's a good dude. And my buddy Dewey over at Pure Pleasure just had Josh from Coheed on his episode, on his podcast, and Josh was hilarious, and Travis is pretty hilarious too. So yeah, I don't know. Those guys in Coheed are just some of the best dudes in the world. So yeah, head over to Pure Pleasure Podcast and check out some Dewey's stuff, because Dewey's got some great guests. He just had Danny Trejo, the actor guy from Machete and all those movies, on his podcast this week. So check him out. And as always, I love you guys. It's a great time doing this podcast, and I'm so glad we're back on track, and we will see you next week with Travis from Coheed and Cambria. But before that, I got to play some cool music from Taking Back Sunday. There's so many good songs. I've been listening to them for a long time, and I didn't really know what to pick, so I just kind of let Spotify do its magic, and I had a playlist of Taking Back Sunday songs, and the first one randomly to come up was A Decade Under the Influence from their 2004 record, Where You Want to Be. So I'm going to leave you guys with that, and I will see you next week with Travis from Coheed. This is Chris signing off, and here is Taking Back Sunday with A Decade Under the Influence. See you guys next week.
Hey, this is Dewey Halpus, host of the Peer Pleasure Podcast, part of the Jabberjaw Media Podcast Network. The Peer Pleasure Podcast is an arts and culture podcast. Join me as I discuss life and content with your favorite performers, artists, and creatives. From Fall Out Boy to Slayer, there's something for everyone. Listen and subscribe at jabberjawmedia.com.
This is the Jabberjaw Podcast Network.